Hey, my name's Silven. I'm going to be bringing a new kind of video to you guys today. It's going to be analysing one of the games that I've played today, and it's just going to be going through all my decision making and how I do those little things on Azir that might not be as straightforward as you think. So let's start by analysing the composition of both teams. We're just going to look at my team first and then the enemy's team. So we can clearly see straight off the bat that our team is obviously going to be a poke comp with a whole lot of potential to pick. So with Azir and Ashe, you're kind of long range, and you really want to get those picks off with Ashe, Arrow, Morgana, Snare. Jax can jump in and Nocturne can ult. So our main strength is poking their team down and getting picks off on their team. We can have the potential to go all in with the Jax and Ashe, Morgana follow up, Nocturne follow up, and Azir follow up in the end, or getting a pick with Azir, that kind of stuff. We definitely have a really strong team fight comp. We got the split push from Jax and Nocturne, and got really good wave clear from Azir and Ashe. So it's very hard to split push our team. The only exception would be is if they have two heavy tanks in the jungle and support, which they don't, where they could fight us in the mid. So we have really good CC for ganks, and we have really good global ulti on Nocturne, which means that our ganks are going to be absolutely amazing. So with Ashe and Morgana being able to snare, Jax being able to snare, and then Nocturne coming in, we're going to have a lot of DPS on ganks. So we're going to rely on ganks throughout the whole game to get us ahead so that we're not behind, because one of the negatives of running a comp like this is we don't have a tank, or we don't have a heavy tank. We have two bruisers, which means that if they do get to the point where they're ahead of us, they can actually snowball on us, and we can't absorb the damage that they deal just because they're going to be dealing extra damage. So we have really good late game scaling, and we have a pretty strong... Our strongest point is obviously going to be our mid game before Warwick can ramp up his Spirit Visage. But Akali versus Azir is completely dependent on the jungler matchup here. So normally Azir just will completely shit on Akali, won't even be close. But unfortunately, when you got a Warwick, he can CC you down, and Akali can just burst you so fast that you have no time to react because you just can't get rid of his suppress. But if your Nocturne gets on top of him, then it's not even going to be an issue. So now onto their team. So we obviously noticed two mistakes right off the bat. The Courage of the Colossus Vlad is absolutely entirely useless on him, except for the Blast Plant, and Akali with Deathfire Touch is obviously not optimal. But in saying that, their strengths are definitely, they have a very strong all-in team fight. They lock someone down with a Warwick, and our team moves to defend them. The Misfortune's going to basically collect everyone with the ulti. They're definitely tankier than us, especially with the Warwick. Warwick is insanely tanky right now, especially when he gets to the Spirit Visage. They have really mixed damage. They got the Warwick and the Misfortune with the AD, and the Akali and Vlad with the AP. And they do have really good CC, but they have more offensive CC. You got your Thresh for your defensive stuff, but Warwick is definitely more of an offensive CC person. Then the weaknesses are they don't actually have that much peel. So they do have really good CC on the offense, but when they get to the defense, it's just Thresh. And when you got somebody like Morgana chucking a black shield on, you pretty much got zero. If you got something just running straight at Misfortune or Akali or Vlad. They have low damage, not like super low damage, but if Akali gets behind, she's going to have low damage. If Vladimir gets behind, those two champions are notorious for having very low damage if they're behind, and they're very easy to snowball on top of. And that's why they're not as popular in solo queue at the moment. So at the start of the game, I'm just going to buy my normal buy, which is a Doran's Ring, 2 pots. It's very important you go the Doran's Ring. It just gives you enough mana to stay in the lane, and we're actually going to buy a second one on our first back. It's very important as Azir to just maintain that mana, that basically your W cost. It's very hard to farm from a distance with enough mana without 2 Doran's Rings. I'm going to use this bush to see if there's any ganks coming. It's very rare that they check it. If they do ward it, or if they do walk into it, I would highly recommend just backing off and then going into your normal brush if possible, or maybe the brush behind that, where you can just ward if necessary if you think there's a gank coming. it quite often the Blitzcrank, if they have a Blitzcrank or a Morgana, they'll actually just walk past you and you'll see them, and you'll be able to see them when they come back out as well, so you know if they're going to take your blue. So try not to place a ward this early. If you have to, you can, but you really don't want to, because you really want to have the first ward to spot incoming ganks near the beginning. So as Azir versus Akali, you need to minimize your weaknesses during the early and mid game, and try and increase the lead as soon as you possibly can, so that she can't just jump on you and one-shot you. So what I'm going to do straight away is push the wave onto her tower. It's very hard for Akali, I mean it's not too hard for Akali to farm on the tower, but basically she's going to be using everything on the CS, and she's not going to be having anything to harass me with. We can also take note that Akali just came from the blue buff side, so we can assume that Warwick has started on blue buff. I didn't really take note of the bottom lane, but that'll also be a dead giveaway to where he started. So I mentioned to my team straight away that, hey, Warwick started blue buff. His most likely gank is either bot lane or a gank on mid from bot side. Now here's where Akali makes her first mistake, and I'm able to capitalize on it. She stands in range of my soldier for a bit too long, so I get an extra auto attack off on him, and then I'm able to just Q and attack again. This very much highlights the importance of patience with this kind of stuff, because if you're just Q'd straight away there, you wouldn't have actually got the extra damage from that extra auto attack that they let you get in. This next part highlights how important it is to notice those little things like the blue call at the start, because Warwick is about to gank me, and what I'm doing is I'm holding up the top side of the lane, so I don't actually need a ward because I know exactly where he's coming from. Now he can loop around and waste a whole lot of time and come through the top lane, that's true, but my jungler is on the top lane, so we'd probably be able to see him. So as we're about to see, he's going to walk through and it's just not going to do anything to me, just because I'm fully aware of what's happening. The next part's a lot of boring farming. It's just really, she's letting me farm the lane, the jungler's letting me farm the lane, and that's just what I'm going to do, because Azir works extremely well on farm, and if I get ahead on farm, I'm just going to have a whole lot of damage and items for the mid game. She makes a mistake in trying to harass me and burns her flash, which I tell the team, and you record it in chat, just so if you ever forget, you can quickly look back, because you know your chat comms obviously aren't recorded. So this is going to set up a play that I'm going to make later on, because we know that she doesn't have flash now, and it's very important to make plays around summoner spells of the enemy team, as they can't really react to you in the way they'd want to. There's no just instant escape button. Okay, so now that I've got ult, I basically want to kill Akali with ult. I want to push her into the tower. So what I first need to do is I need to set up my wave so that I can go blue. I push the wave hard, and that's going to reset the wave in my favor. It's going to push onto me, which is what I want Akali to do. I want her to push the wave onto me. Because what's going to happen is I want her to get her as close as possible to tower, so that when I ult her, she's going to go straight in and have no counterplay. I've already had about 1 minute of pretending that I have bad positioning, so Akali will go on me, and then this sells it for her. I pretend to go into her cloak field, and she completely falls for it. Goes straight into the position where I can ult her into my tower, and she can't dash out, and she can't flash out from before, as we've already burnt her flash. So to just quickly go through items, because I forgot before when we went to the first back. Our first two items, we want to have a Doran ring and an ability tome on our first back, and that gives us a much better clear on the back wave of minions when we're wave clearing, and it also gives us much better trading. Now I did make the mistake of backing too late to save the bottom tower, but I'm going to make a play here in the mid lane. So I gear up with my jungler to go for Akali, and what I do here is force her into a position where she has nowhere to go. She can't dash anywhere, she can't flash anywhere. She can kind of flash over the wall or something, but again, Nocturne can just easily chase her down. So it ends up being an easy kill to pick up. We then roam bot lane to pick up 2 easy kills. Warwick tries to get away, we hit the blast cap, and then just flash over the wall for the easy 3rd kill for 0. We pick up the free dragon. After this, I need to make sure my lane's fine in mid before I go back. I go back, and then I quickly come back to mid before realizing I really need to help out top lane. So top lane's getting ganked by 4 people. There's no way I could save Jax unless I had moved earlier, which I should have done. But when I get there, my main objective now is to just really push them off the tower. I didn't actually realize how much damage I dealt. I thought they'd be higher in gold, but they weren't. So what I should have done is I should have just gone straight in and I would have been able to take a few kills, but making sure they didn't get the tower is much more important. My big mistake here was being way overly cautious of Thresh's CC and thinking that Vlad could probably just kill me if I do get CC'd by Thresh's Q, which is potentially possible, but I definitely missed out on some kills. We rotate to the mid lane to quickly pick up a tower, steal my ally's red buff because I'm a dickhead. Then I move back to take my own blue buff before trying to go for a pick on a Kali. So my Nocturne's already told me that they're going in, and I make a little mistake with the dash. I push her out of her stealth and we just clean her up really quickly. We move down to take the mid tower and we see Misfortune. I'm a bit overly cautious again because we don't have that much vision of everybody on the map, so I don't go in straight away, but I eventually go in and take the kill. Now here we have vision of Warwick, so I don't have to be worried about what he's going to do, but we see Thresh go up for a kill for some reason. I land my whole combo on him, and then he manages to quickly escape for a brief period of time. And I go to back, but I notice my teammate is in need of help because he's getting ganked. So we see Thresh come back through and we just quickly kill him. And I make the mistake here of not instantly putting down a soldier just below the brush there, over there, and then quickly just going and grabbing Warwick. I would have been able to stop him immediately if I had done that. He ends up getting away just because we kind of mess up everything. Jax doesn't stun in the right time, and we would... This is one of my favorite baits, where I seemingly pretend that I have no escape, but basically my allies are all on the right hand side. I push her straight over as soon as she dashes in. The only mistake I could make here is sometimes it's a bit predictive and I cast my ult too early and then they just hit me and I actually don't have any escape. So I quickly take some farm here to go back and get a Void Staff. On Azir you really want to go for a Nash's, Sorc Shoes, Void Staff, and then either a Death Cap or a Liandry's Torment, depending on what composition you're playing against. Like if you have a lot of tanks, you really want that Liandry's first and then the Death Cap, so you're just shredding them to crap. And here I start pushing. I start to mess around a bit here because I'm really far ahead in gold and damage, and I have to exhaust MF just to make sure I don't 100% die. The reason I don't go in is I'm very much aware that Vlad is strong as soon as he gets next to you. So right now he's actually pretty weak and I end up sniping him down, but if I were to go in I'd probably end up taking a death. And also you got like Thresh's CC, Warwick has ult, where I could just be bursted down, and even with the excess gold that I have, I wouldn't be able to stop them. Now the rest of the game is really just about consolidating the win. We take all the camps, we take all the farm, we just keep them in their base, and make sure they just don't get any resources while farming up ourselves. Is make sure the lead is so great that no matter how any team fights go, we're still going to be ahead. Even if we lose 2 team fights in a row, we're still going to be ahead. If we lose 3, maybe they'd be able to contest a Baron or something like that. So all this is doing is just making sure we win, and that the percentage of us losing or throwing is very low. I'm going to put in a link to my Masteries and runes for this game. It's very much focused on magic penetration. I believe that's the strongest iteration of Azir right now, unless you're versing something like Zed or something where you need a really early Zhonya's if you're versing someone really good. I believe that that's how you really get those early trades to go well and mid-game to go extremely well. Thanks for watching, and if you have any comments, just leave them below. If you want to see more like this, if this sucks ass, let me know. Thanks.